Welcome to episode 7 of the How'd You Start podcast, where I sit down with business owners and talk about how they got started. Today I'm sitting down with Evan Seymour. Thanks for doing this with me.
Oh, my pleasure, Nick.
What's the name of your business?
All right, so it's Shot From Above, drone services.
Okay. And what do you do? Sounds like drone services. But
Drone services for sure. We kind of try to encompass everything, a little bit of search and rescue. I do have a thermal drone, so we specialize in kind of key it more towards deer recovery, down deer recovery. I also have the capabilities to do some realtor shots for houses and developments and stuff like that. So kind of all encompasses everything.
How did you originally come up with the idea of not doing drone stuff specifically, but come up with the idea of just wanting to have your own business?
Yeah, so it started probably about 2 years ago. Working with the police department 60, 70, 80 hours a week. I needed something to get away, but I also like the idea of being my own boss. I like the idea of kind of being able to work with the schedule I want, and this kind of gave me the flexibility to do that, kind of still work full-time as much as I want to at the police department, but also step away and have something that wasn't law enforcement related to give me the kind of the out to kind of have a new hobby to get into.
So it was never really for supplementing finances? It was mainly just a hobby that happened to turn into a business?
Yes. So
you didn't go into it with the idea of making extra money?
That would be a great goal, but no, specifically just kind of having something to do outside the police department. Funny story, we have some hunting property. Buddy of mine, 2 buddies actually shot 2 deer last year, had trouble tracking and finding them, and I was like, that's it, I'm getting into this. So the wife was supportive. We went full bore into it. Got me a drone with a nice thermal imaging camera on it, and that's kind of how it started.
Prior to that, were you already in the drone world? Like, did you do it for fun? How'd you get started into drones?
So we have drones with the police department. So I kind of was, peeking over guys' shoulders as they were flying them for different operations we were doing. Kind of thought it was pretty cool, but never thought it would be something that I'm not very artistic when it comes to stuff. So this was a good way for me to kind of get into it. And then there's a guy that I saw on Instagram that does the deer recovery. And I was like, that's super awesome, because I heard a lot of stories. And now I have 2 stories of my own, but I've heard a lot of stories of people shooting big deer and they can't find them. It's hard to track at night and things like that. Sometimes they don't have a dog available. So this was the next best thing, and it kind of checked all the boxes that I was looking for.
So what was the very first drone you bought was for this business, or
Yes.
you already had one?
No, strictly for this. Yep.
So how did you know what kind of drone to buy?
A lot of research. Spent about 2 or 3 weeks constant just on the internet. Luckily, I have some good people that I work with that are very knowledgeable and that have multiple drones, and they were like, hey, steer towards this, stay away from this. This is exactly kind of the setup you're looking for. And at the end of the day, it kind of came down to budget. Because with the thermal drones, you can spend $30,000 on a drone, and that wasn't in the budget. So it was finding something cost friendly that still would do all the things I needed to do. 1 for hobbies, and 2 for the business side of it.
So when you initially were thinking about buying the first drone, you were looking for a thermal drone specifically for deer tracking?
Yes, specifically, it needed to be thermal just because of the tracking purposes of it. And that's kind of keyed in on 2 specific drones or 2 companies in general. And then it came down to price point. They were both had good reviews. I've heard good things from people that I know that have both of them. And then it came down to just price point at that point.
So you get the drone, you buy the drone, you place the order, whatever. Was there... Number one, does it come pre-assembled, or did you have to build it?
Yeah, so it comes pre-assembled. It does not come updated or anything, so I had to try to figure out how to update the software and the malware in there and everything like that. But yeah, it does come pre-assembled.
Did you already know how to fly it, or is it pretty simple to learn?
It's pretty simple to learn. I had zero experience flying it. There are a lot of apps that you can download on your phone that simulate the flights, so you can kind of get a pretty good generalization of how to fly it before actually throwing it in the air. But I wasn't one to do a bunch of that, so I just got it as soon as it was updated, threw it in the air, and
no crashes.
2 crashes as of yet. So nothing damaging the drone, but I did, I've crashed it twice.
So you get the drone. When does the you get the drone for tracking deer.
Yes.
But at that time, was it already in your mind the business side, or you got it just for your own personal use, buddies, stuff like
Yeah,
that?
I got it for more of a personal use with the with tracking deer that we shoot, and then I was like, oh, that'd be a good idea to if I make money on it, great. If not, I enjoy flying them. It just kind of came 2 for 1 with that.
So when did you start like coming up with the idea of jobs with the drone, like getting business, doing, was the init, like how'd you get your first customer?
So actually, it was one of my buddies. Shot a deer last year. I kind of did it pro bono because I wasn't sure how it was going to go. But he shot a deer down in Anson County last year, about 9 or 10 in the morning, and we're able to pick her up on the camera and walk us right into where she was at. So it made the job a lot easier. It was a little difficult with some of the tree coverage and the foliage, but it did exactly what I bought it for it to do. So.
Okay, so you have the drone. You're tracking deer for your buddies and stuff like that. What's the goal of this business? Do you want to get in? Like, do you want to scale this up to you're doing that kind of stuff for money and jobs and stuff a lot, or do you want to do more photography stuff? Is there one thing that you want to use the drone for more, or does it really matter? You just like to fly the drone?
Well, I love flying the drone, but I really like the thermal imaging side of it. So I would love to be able to scale the business of the down deer, and in anything that would need thermal as far as search and rescue stuff and things like that. I'd love to use it for. So that would be my initial goal, would be to scale it up to use it for more the thermal imaging with the deer. I like the thermal side of it. That would be my number one goal, is to utilize that, because I paid more for that, and I want to utilize it for that. But I have filmed and taken some aerial shots of different houses and some properties and stuff like that, and I do love that side of the aerial portraits and things like that. So I wouldn't, if somebody came to me tomorrow and was like, "Hey, we'd like you to shoot this house we have up on the market," I wouldn't turn it down in a minute. But I prefer the.
Is there a
drone
big
side.
market in that for tracking deer? Like, is that a common thing that people get drone people to?
I think it's becoming more common with the technology in the drones that they keep getting better and better. I don't know of any. There's only a few in this area that I've been able to Google and kind of see on Facebook that offer that service. So I think it's kind of a niche market right now in this area. But I've had great success with it, as far as even just tracking deer for like bedding purposes and trying to figure out where they're crossing, things like that. You can't hunt from them, but as far as
how does that work? Like if some random hunter is going to go hunting on a Saturday morning, does he call you ahead of time, or do you just wait and you're always kind of on call once he shoots it? Like, how does the timing work, and how does that work?
So normally how it works is I'm on standby or on call, essentially. If they shoot a deer, a lot of times there'll be some type of trail, whether it be kicked up leaves or some type of blood trail. A lot of hunters will try to just track, obviously, before spending money and calling me out, we'll try to track the deer. If that is unsuccessful, especially around here with the temperatures, I mean, it could be 20 degrees in the morning, and by the time you shoot one and find them, it's 60, 70 degrees outside. So you can't leave it laying for a long time while you're searching. So that's when they would call me in to help try to track from the last point that they know they had it, and just try to see if I pick up anything on the thermal.
How do you know, or maybe the answer is you don't know yet, you're just going to learn and research, but how do you know how much to charge? Is it by the hour? Is it by the per trip out there? Like,
so that's
what's
something,
the game plan there?
That's something I'm learning as I go. Obviously, building a resume and building clientele with successful retrievals and locations is going to help. But at the time right now, it's basically however many times when they call me out, it's just a standard flat fee. So
in the United States, there's a drone pilot license, a drone pilot certificate you can get. Have you looked into getting that yet?
I have. So it's called the Part 107. I have looked into it. I'm starting to take some of the classes. Some of the local community colleges offer just basic research classes that kind of help prepare you for the test. So I've looked into that. I should be starting that up hopefully in the next couple weeks, and get that, and then I'll take that, and then I'll be able to fly more freely throughout and acquire different jobs that
And I'm
way.
assuming it's mostly just legal stuff, like, hey, don't fly over top of an airport, like, don't just safety, legal, maybe privacy stuff. I don't know what's involved.
Yeah, a lot of the safety side of it, just making sure that you're identified flying your drone, especially anywhere near the flights of helicopters or airplanes or things like that. That way, there's no incidences or anything like that.
What's do you have an end goal, like, for the business, like a, as cliche as it sounds, like where you see yourself in 5 years? Like, do you want it to be like a big booming business where you have all the, like, and if so, how big? Do you want like 10 guys that all work for you and they're going out flying drones, or is this kind of just a hobby that you hope to make money, or one day you want it to be full time, or what?
I don't have any goal for it to be full time. I love just flying them, and it's one of the things. If I can make a few dollars on the side and help some people out, that's really my goal. Just to enjoy flying it. I have the full time job. Not looking for another full time job or to leave that one. But yeah, I love flying it, man. It's a blast. It's something that I never initially. You'd asked me 2 years ago, never would have thought I'd have been into it, especially as much as I am. So it led me to buy a second drone. So now we've got two in the arsenal. So
What's the difference between the two?
So price is a big one, but the second one I've got doesn't have thermal, so it's strictly just more for the videography of it and the aerial photos. Still has the 4K camera and everything like that, but as far as it just doesn't have all the bells and whistles that the other one has on it.
What's the purpose in having two then? Does the thermal one do all the good video stuff too?
Yep, thermal does everything that the other one does. It's just I've found they're two different companies. Autopilot, and then I have a DJI, which is a smaller one. I found the DJI. It's under that there's a weight limit. It's 249 grams. That kind of helps you be able to fly it more freely, and it's more fun to fly. I think it's more user friendly, especially for beginners. It has different pre-planned flights, for a lack of better words, where you can kind of center in on something, and it does its pre-framed flight compared to the autopilot, which is all man. You have to fly everything, so it's a lot more user friendly than the autopilot is.
Is it the autopilot or whatever? Autopilot, right?
Autopilot.
Is that one kind of more commercial, where the other one's more hobbyist?
I think it is, as far as the price points go. And the DJI one got is they have ones that are astronomically, but this one is more the entry level one. It is a lot smaller. I mean, it's crazy how small it is, but it flies phenomenal. The wind doesn't affect it. Battery life is another big thing with the two. So I've learned that the hard way a couple times.
Yeah. So what happens when you get out tracking this deer and you just take extra batteries with you?
Yeah, my thermal's got 3 batteries that last roughly 30 minutes of flight time apiece, and then the remote itself will last like 90 minutes. So I can get roughly 90 minutes of flight time with that one. The little one's like 20 minutes of flight time, and I've only got 1 battery for it, so it stays close to me when I get out and fly it.
Do you and I think I know the answer to this because you just like flying the drone, but like, do you want to get into doing other drone stuff, like where, say, like big time videography stuff, like commercials for people, or like the geo mapping, like for surveying? Do you want to get into doing all that too?
I would love to get into that. I love the mapping and the geo stuff like that, but I wouldn't know where to begin with, still kind of being new to this. So I'm kind of trying not to set my sights too high yet, until I kind of see and get my feet, really on the ground and figure out kind of where I want to go and where's going to be the best avenue to take me with this.
What have you, and maybe you haven't done it yet, but because if you're tracking a deer, you're not necessarily having to record that video. You're just watching your screen and find it, boom, you're done.
Yes.
But if you get into some of the other stuff, you're having to record either pictures or video or whatever. Do you know how to do the editing, or are you still learning, or how does
I'm still learning on that. That's not something
that's kind of a separate art within itself.
It is. And that gets me kind of towards like the drone flying for weddings and things like that. And I don't have a real desire for the strong editing. As far as like clipping things and kind of meshing stuff together, I feel pretty confident with that. But as far as like, hey, this is our big day, it's our wedding day, right, I'm not trying to script
a lot of money.
Yeah. So I don't have any desire to go that route with it. But yeah, as far as like commercials and real estate and stuff like that, man, I'd love to get my feet wet with some of that stuff.
Yeah. How do you have a plan, or have you thought about how to grow the business, like kickstart it to steady customers, and like, is the answer just maybe a bunch of samples on social media, or is it you're going to do like a website and paid ads, or have you thought anything about that?
I haven't gotten to the paid ads yet, or the website, but I've tried to stay consistent with my posts on social media, Instagram, TikTok, trying to stay relevant with those, and at the same time learning what people like seeing, on top of just getting smoother with transitions, with flights, and some of the neat things we see, flying through the buildings and stuff like that everybody likes to see. So I'm trying to get more into that, and then here in about basically it's May, so about September or so, I'll start getting geared up for hunting season and making sure everything's on track, ready to go for bow season starting in September, I think. So,
What when you've been posting on social media, have you been seeing like a lot of people liking it or commenting, or like you're learning what people like and stuff, and eventually, if enough engaging content,
yes,
if you get all that stuff, then you can convert those people into customers. Like, so I guess you're as you post stuff, you're seeing what people like to see and all that. And then, have you had anybody yet that has reached out and said, "Hey, like, have you got any potential leads on customers from social media?"
I think through some Facebook stuff, I've gotten, and I think it was posted to my personal page, but it was some of our shot from above videos, reference some of the deer stuff. And I had 2 or 3 people reach out wanting my contact information just for down the road in case, more so for hunting season this upcoming year. So, and on top of that, I've tried to kind of gear some of my content towards the people that have followed me, or the people that I've followed that way, as far as like real estate agents and things like that, showing them like, we're not just, singular deer stuff. We can do kind of whatever they need us to do. So I've tried to aim it and gear it that way, but I'm new to the social media thing as far as trying to gain a following.
Right. Do you, in the drone business, is there any overhead besides once you buy the drone, that's it?
The drone, and then your Part 107. You want to get your license. Those are and then mine's an LLC, so getting those fees taken care of. But all in all, it's, if you go kind of entry level with the drone I got, it's really not much overhead to kind of make back and break even with it. So that's a good thing.
Because I've known a few people that have had drones, but not necessarily from a business standpoint. They're just doing hobby,
Yeah, and it's not hard to change it from hobby to a business. And I did it. I'm working towards making it the successful business I want it to be, and kind of reaching out and being able to do a bunch of stuff. But it's not much overhead goes into it, which is nice. It's not a huge risk to take if you kind of want to just get your feet wet in it, and maybe you're not 100% sold on, you want to go all in with this. It's not something that has to be that. It's not going to cost you $3,000-$4,000 to really get started and to be able to see if it's something that you want to kind of do.
Have you? Neither one of those drones have been a regret, have they? Financially, like they're good.
No, not at all.
Good quality and good. Yeah.
I can't speak more highly than about even the customer service. Both companies are from China, so it was a little bit of a delay getting through the States, through customs and stuff. Didn't really have a ton of issues. I think it was more. I had one issue with one I purchased and it got returned. I think that was more of the carrier in the U.S. not wanting to ship it from the, I guess, like the import or through customs. But no, they were phenomenal on both sides as far as customer service, answering any questions I had, helping me set stuff up. So no regrets at all.
No. Do you already have your eye on the next drone, or are these going to last you a while, or what?
So I think these are going to last.
Because you already said one led to 2.
Yes, I think 2 is going to be 2 gets me everything I need right now. However, the wife's permission, I might look into getting some first-person, basically goggles. So I don't have to buy another drone for that. I just have to have the upgraded goggles for the flight.
What's the benefit of that?
I don't know if there is one. Everything I see, the videos online, they look cooler with as far as the footage goes, and I think they make it a little easier to fly as far as putting you right there with the drone instead of looking on a screen. But I haven't had any experience flying one, so that's that, and they're like $400 or $500. So it's kind of hard to make that full jump when I don't really know if it's gonna benefit me, the business at all, or if it's just something that I want because I think it looks cool.
Do you ever want to do the drone work for your full-time job?
No.
No, not for yourself,
Oh,
but
for my
for
for the
at
police
the police
department.
department.
Yeah, so they're really expanding the drone program. We had a private company that donated a bunch of drones on top of the ones we've already got. So they're really trying to expand that. They've seen it has a lot of benefits with different things. So that's definitely something that I'm going to look into once I get my Part 107. So that's their thing. They have to have your Part 107 first, and then you can transition to that. So that'll give me the third drone. I don't want to pay for it. So that'd be nice.
Yeah. All right. Where can people find you on social media?
So on TikTok and Instagram, Shot From Above 2024.
Okay.
On both.
Sounds good. Appreciate you doing this. If you're watching this on YouTube, like, comment, and subscribe. And if you're listening to this on your podcast player, be sure to leave it a 5-star review. Thanks, dude.
Thanks, Nick. Appreciate it.